Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namah Shivaya, and welcome to today's meditation practice. Today, I've been thinking a lot about, the yamas and the niyamas. These are restrictions and observations that a yogi must do to really continue the practice to keep the sadhana focused. In the observations, the first observation that is given is cleanliness. And sometimes when we think about that word cleanliness, we think that we're only talking about the body, like keeping bathed and smelling fresh and everything. But what Patanjali is also talking about is cleanliness of the mind, keeping the mind clean and pure. And that could, that just saying that implies that there shouldn't be any thoughts about that are decadent, right? But that's the easiest thing to kind of slide into, thinking that it's about sex or sexuality, or which could be. But with the coronavirus and the shutdown, I've actually had to, being locked down and not teaching in the evenings, I've been watching a huge amount of television for the past 7 weeks. And, almost for the past 15 years, I've watched very, very little television. I worked every night of the week. And then if I watched TV, maybe I watched Game of Thrones, but it was always some kind of big epic thing. But being at home night after night after night, Bob and I have sat down and we've watched stuff that is like, some of the stuff is like 12, 15 years old. We watched The Wire on HBO, and True Detective, and we've been watching a lot of these crime series that have repeated, like had long series in them that they went on for 3 and 4 years, and we've kind of we'll watch 2 or 3 shows a night of that series, and that kind of stuff I hadn't watched for years. And I've actually never been one to, because I wasn't in touch with pop culture or watching pop culture, I've never been one to go into the yoga studio and kind of say, oh, you really need to, not watch certain television shows and everything. And in the past few days, since some of the states are removing some of the restrictions, we've seen some incidents happen around the country, such as a shooting at a Dollar Tree where somebody said you had to wear a mask, and the guy came in and with his girlfriend and the son, and you've dissed us, and boom, bam, bam. Then all of a sudden they're shooting the person behind the counter that this kind of is doing their job. Or the McDonald's incident where 2 people thought they could go in and sit down and eat, and the people say no, you can take out, but you can't sit here, and they come back with a gun and they shoot the workers. And what I noticed is, after watching kind of crime shows for the past 7 weeks, this is kind of a theme that runs in those crime shows too, where some street gangster is insulted, and then all of a sudden he pulls a gun and shoots somebody, and this leads to this kind of detective thing happening. And or a mid-level gangster feels insecure because some runner gangster is said something shady, and they go kill him. It's pervasive within pop culture and these kind of crime shows. And I started to think yesterday because we've only, like I've said, I've only been watching this kind of stuff in the past 7 weeks. I hadn't watched this kind of stuff in 12, 15 years. And I kind of started to wonder, how many people are actually being influenced by these shows that they're watching on HBO and on Netflix, and that are these kind of, kind of semi-gangster kind of related themes and detective things and cop themes, and then acting out like, that's how you deal with any kind of like affront where somebody like puts boundaries on you, is that you take out a gun and shoot them, because that's what you've seen in a TV show, or that's what you've seen in a video game. And this was very disturbing to me, because like I said, I've never been one to say, that wanted to make pop culture a villain, mainly because I worked in entertainment for years. And but now I really kind of question what people are watching, what they're feeding their minds with. And if you're feeding your mind with a lot of violent, very superficial, shallow thinking, and short-term reactions to emotions, storylines, where, people act on insults, or they act on being dissed, or they act on, not getting their way, and the action is violent, and you're watching that over and over and over again as entertainment. How many people like start to not really be able to distinguish between entertainment and reality, and then play that out in their personal life? So this idea of cleanliness that that Patanjali is talking about is also about not allowing outside influences to corrupt your ability to think logically and intellectually, right? So, as maybe you're like I am. Maybe you didn't watch a lot of television or anything like that until this has happened, and you're kind of stuck at home night after night after night, and you are watching this stuff. Start to notice if any of this kind of stuff creeps into your thinking. Start to notice if maybe you should eliminate certain genres of entertainment from your viewing, if it's affecting you emotionally or negatively, or is getting you to kind of become a hair trigger to your emotions. These are influences that do happen in our lives. Notice also with your kids, if you have kids and you're seeing them playing violent video games, if they're reacting in a certain way, maybe it's time to limit those video games. But because we're in this state of kind of still being locked down and isolated, a lot more stuff is coming to the surface. A lot more stuff is rising up, and we're able to take note of it in a way that when our world was so busy and full of movement and always doing something, maybe we didn't take note of these things. So the idea of cleanliness, it really does go beyond just the body. It's the cleanliness of the mind. It's the cleanliness of the spirit. So take a moment, set up nice and tall, close your eyes. And allow the breath to deepen. Allow deep, full inhales and deep, full exhales. As you inhale, silently hear the sound of Om within your own body. Om. As you exhale, silently hear the sound of Om within your own body. Inhaling the sound of Om. Exhaling the sound of Om. As you inhale the sound of Om, see the symbol of Om within your mind's eye. And as you exhale the sound of Om, see the symbol of Om within the mind's eye. Inhaling Om. Exhaling Om. Continue to inhale the sound of Om deeply. Continue to exhale the sound of Om deeply. Silently tell yourself, I'm not this body. Silently tell yourself, I'm not this mind. Silently tell yourself, I'm not these thoughts. Silently tell yourself, I'm not these emotions. Tell yourself you are infinity, eternal and everlasting. A connection to higher energy, purer, positive energy. Inhaling for the sound of Om. Bringing the hands together in prayer, rubbing the hands together. Building heat within the hands, bringing the hands over the eyes, letting the heat from the hands be absorbed into the eyes. Gently open the eyes, bring the hands across the forehead, the top of the head, the back of the head. And then bring the hands together in prayer. Allow the forehead to touch the thumbs. Giving thanks and praise for the teachings of yoga from the past, the present, and those who have brought us those teachings. Om Bolo Sadguru Bhagavan Ki Jai. Thank you guys so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. And I will see you next time.